Okay, picture this. You did it. You landed the job, you put in the hours, and boom, that first real paycheck hits your account. Maybe it's like the biggest number you've ever seen sitting there.
Feels good, right?
Yeah. But before you can even think about celebrating, maybe buying that thing you wanted, this other thought pops in, or maybe a text message actually arrives.
Yes, the text.
Asking, essentially. So how much of that is actually ours?
And just like that, the invisible weight becomes, well, brutally quantifiable, doesn't it?
Totally. And that's what we're diving into today, this really stressful, often unspoken conflict in Vietnamese immigrant families here in America. It's the generational money clash.
Yeah, and it's not just, disagreeing about whether to buy Starbucks. This is deep. It's a fundamental collision of like cultural operating systems, survival strategies clashing.
Absolutely. So our mission today, we want to cut through that confusion, the frustration, maybe even some of that deep guilt people feel.
Right.
We're looking at psychological ideas, real talk from places like Reddit, some hard financial facts, basically giving you the understanding you need.
Think of this as your shortcut to navigating what some call sacrifice debt, understanding the so-called Asian parent tax, and hopefully finding some financial peace without, ditching your own future plans.
Okay, so where do we start? The cultural bedrock.
Exactly. You got to understand the foundation. It's a clash between collectivism and individualism, fundamentally. Traditional Vietnamese culture, deeply collectivist.
Meaning the family unit is everything.
It's the primary safety net. The goal is harmony, stability for the group. It's woven into the fabric of society.
Which is pretty much the opposite of the dominant culture here in the U.S., right? Which is all about financial independence, individual achievement.
Precisely. Total opposites in many ways. And the absolute cornerstone of that traditional collectivist setup is this concept, filial piety, hiếu in Vietnamese.
Okay, I've heard this. It means respect your elders, basically.
Well, yes, but it's much stronger than just respect, especially when it comes to money. Our sources really emphasize this. It's seen as a core moral obligation.
Not just a nice thing to do.
Not at all. It's fundamental. And traditionally, hiếu wasn't just on one kid. It was the whole extended family, cousins, uncles, everyone chipping in to care for the older generation.
Okay. So it was spread out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker, and it's kind of tragic, really. When that family structure immigrates to the super individualistic U.S., that huge shared duty, it suddenly gets compressed.
Onto who?
Onto the one or two kids who make it, the successful ones. So what was a broad social safety net becomes this intense, direct, often really draining emotional and financial transaction between parent and child.
Wow. Okay, I can see how that pressure builds. And that leads us to this sacrifice debt idea you mentioned.
Yeah, and this concept is so powerful because it's often invisible, internal. Psychologists talk about it as this profound, like, unshakable feeling inside the kids.
Feeling that they have to repay the parents.
Repay the sacrifices, huge ones, leaving their home country, maybe giving up careers, learning a new language, starting completely over from scratch, all for the kids' benefit.
Right, so the kids' success isn't just their success.
For many, it feels like mandatory debt repayment. It shifts the question from what path makes me happy or fulfilled to which career pays off this invisible debt the fastest.
Oof, that's heavy.
It really is. And it dictates choices beyond just the job title. It's the pressure towards, say, engineering or medicine instead of art history.
Or maybe staying close geographically instead of taking that job across the country.
Exactly. We saw this quote from someone on Reddit that just nailed it. They said something like, "My parents sacrificed everything to come here and they never ever let me forget it."
Wow. That constant reminder. It sounds like love becomes conditional.
You can feel that way, like love and acceptance are tied directly to your achievements, to how well you're repaying that debt. And that, predictably, leads to serious mental health stuff. Anxiety, resentment, sometimes depression. It's a huge emotional cost.
So that's the invisible emotional debt. But you said it has a very visible side, too.
Oh, yeah. It manifests very clearly in the budget. This is what people online have started calling the Asian parent tax.
Right. I see that term everywhere on social media. What exactly is it, based on what we're seeing?
It's basically the expected, sometimes demanded, sometimes willingly given, regular financial contribution, usually monthly, paid to the parents once the child starts earning a decent income.
Okay. And for the parents, this is fulfilling that hiếu, their reward.
Exactly. It's tradition. It's the payoff for their hardship. But for the young adult trying to build a life in the American system, it feels like a burden, a direct obstacle.
An obstacle to what? The standard American milestones.
Precisely. That's money that could be hammering down student loans, saving for a down payment on a house, or, and this is critical, investing for their own retirement.
Okay, so that's the painful collision right there. Duty versus personal financial goals.
Which brings us nicely to the actual financial playbooks each generation is using. And honestly, they could not be more different. It's like gold versus the 401k.
The great investment divide. Okay, let's break that down. Start with the parents' generation. What's their financial philosophy typically?
It's often rooted in scarcity and deep risk aversion. And you have to understand, this often comes from real historical trauma.
Like instability back in Vietnam.
Exactly. Regime changes, hyperinflation where money became worthless overnight, banks collapsing. These experiences create a profound mistrust of abstract financial systems. The stock market, big banks. To them, these things feel inherently unsafe, unreliable.
So if you can't trust institutions, what do you trust?
Things you can touch. Things that are tangible, maybe portable. Physical cash, hoarding gold, which is liquid, holds value across borders, survives collapses, or buying property outright with cash if possible.
And debt, even like a mortgage.
Generally viewed as very negative, dangerous, something to be eliminated as quickly as possible. The main goal is stability, survival, avoiding catastrophe.
Okay, that makes sense given the history. Now contrast that with the second generation. Us, basically. What's our playbook?
We grew up here, immersed in a system that's focused on growth. We're taught that you have to take some calculated risks to get ahead.
Like investing in the stock market.
Right. Stocks, mutual funds, maybe even crypto for some. It's seen as necessary just to keep up with inflation, that silent killer of savings.
And our view of debt is different too, isn't it?
Completely. We learn about good debt versus bad debt. Using debt strategically like a mortgage to buy an appreciating asset like a house, or even using credit cards responsibly to build a credit score is seen as a tool for building wealth.
Which probably sounds insane to the older generation.
Absolutely terrifying. Often. Why would you willingly take on debt? It feels counterintuitive to their survival instincts.
And this fundamental difference in risk tolerance, it leads to some major financial friction, right? Especially around retirement savings.
Huge friction. And this is where we see one of the biggest, most financially damaging mistakes highlighted in these community discussions. It's missing out on the 401k employer match.
Ah, the free money.
It is free money. But that 401k, that tax-advantaged retirement plan, it's often viewed with massive skepticism by the parents.
Because it's invested in the market, it feels risky.
Exactly. Too abstract, too volatile. So because of that caution, or sometimes direct pressure, many young adults either put off enrolling in their company's 401k, or they contribute less than they need to get the full employer match. They deliberately leave that free money on the table.
And the long-term cost of that, we saw some numbers, right?
It's staggering when you look at the compounding effect over a 30 or 40-year career. Missing that match can easily cost someone $50,000 or more in lost retirement wealth, maybe significantly more.
Wow, just gone. A huge long-term sacrifice made because of that generational difference in risk perception.
It's a massive hit to their future financial security, often stemming directly from that clash in financial philosophy.
And beyond specific investments, this whole conflict seems to boil down to one core issue, doesn't it? Control.
Absolutely. At its heart, the financial battle often is the young adult's fight for basic personal independence.
Yeah, we read stories about parents wanting access to bank accounts, insisting on co-signing loans even when it's not needed.
Or maybe unilaterally deciding to send large sums of the adult child's money back home as remittances without much discussion.
Right. And if you're, say, 28 years old, you have a good job, you're paying this parent tax, but you still feel like you need permission to make a major purchase, does that even feel like adulthood?
It undermines the whole concept of financial autonomy, doesn't it? The adult child sees financial privacy and decision-making power as, like, the definition of being independent.
But the parent might see it differently.
The parent often sees maintaining some financial oversight as ensuring the family's safety and harmony. That's their cultural programming, their primary mission. It's usually not coming from a place of malice, but it is a genuine clash of fundamental values.
Okay, so it's a deep-rooted clash. How do we move forward? How do we build a bridge here? Because just cutting off parents or totally ignoring the culture, that sounds like replacing money problems with emotional ones.
Exactly. That rarely leads to a good outcome for anyone. The goal really needs to shift from conflict to mutual education.
Yeah.
Both sides actually have valuable things to teach each other.
Okay, like what? What can the younger generation learn from the parents?
incredible resilience, for one, and a mastery of absolute frugality, living below your means. Those are invaluable skills, especially for building a solid emergency fund. That kind of discipline is like gold.
True. We could all probably use more of that. And what about the other way around? What can the kids teach the parents?
Well, the kids grew up navigating the complex U.S. financial system. They can be the guides. They can explain why good credit score matters so much here. They can explain the tax benefits of retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs.
And maybe most importantly, explain inflation.
Crucially, yes. Explaining how just holding cash means losing purchasing power over time, and why long-term investing isn't just gambling, it's actually necessary to build wealth and protect against that erosion.
So education is key. But how do you even start that conversation? It feels so loaded.
It is loaded. So you don't start with confrontation. One effective technique we see recommended is the third-person approach.
Meaning?
Instead of saying, Mom, Dad, I'm worried you're not saving enough, which sounds accusatory.
Yeah, that won't go well.
Right. Try something like, hey, I read this interesting article about how retirement is changing in America, and it made me think, maybe we should sit down and make a formal plan together for the family's future.
Ah, clever. It makes it a shared project, not a criticism. Lowers the defenses.
Exactly. And on the practical side, if you are providing financial support, the number one rule for protecting your own future is pay yourself first.
What does that mean in practice?
Automate it. Set up automatic transfers from your paycheck directly into your savings accounts, your 401k, your IRA first, before you do anything else. Secure your long-term goals first.
And then, if you choose to provide support after that.
Then decide on a specific fixed amount you can comfortably and consistently provide each month. Maybe it's 5%, maybe 10% of your income. Treat that amount like any other bill in your budget. It's fixed, it's planned.
So it takes the emotion and the guilt out of every single request.
Precisely. It replaces that reactive, guilt-driven giving with clear, predictable structure, which benefits everyone in the long run.
Okay, but here's the really tough part. What if a request comes in that's bigger than that agreed-upon amount? Like a sudden, large sum needed back home. How do you say no respectfully?
That's the respectful no. And it's crucial. This is where you reinforce that hiếu, that filial piety, is about care, not just cash.
So how do you phrase it?
You need to be gentle but firm. You could say something like, Mom, Dad, I'm committed to our agreed monthly amount of X, and I can't manage this larger sum right now, however. And then pivot.
Pivot to what? Non-financial help.
Exactly. However, I can set aside time this weekend to help you sort through that confusing insurance paperwork. Or let's go talk to the bank together about that issue. Or simply, I can spend extra time with you this week. Show you care through actions, not just money.
That makes sense. It acknowledges the need but holds the boundary. It probably also matters why they need the money, right? Is it genuine need versus expectation?
That's a really important distinction. Is it parents struggling to make ends meet, or parents who are financially stable but just expect a tax out of tradition? The conversation needs to adapt.
So for the latter group, the focus might be more on education.
Yes, gently educating them about U.S. safety nets, Social Security, Medicare, and explaining why your retirement savings are actually crucial to ensure you don't become a burden on them down the line. It reframes it.
Shifting it from debt repayment to, like, mutual future planning. Building a legacy together.
Exactly. That's the goal. This whole deep dive really shows, I think, that this generational money clash isn't about finding who's right or wrong. It's about understanding that you have two very different, deeply ingrained survival operating systems colliding under one roof.
And finding harmony means acknowledging that sacrifice debt, respecting the culture, but also fiercely protecting your own path to financial independence in this country.
You got it.
So as we wrap up, we want to leave you, the listener, with a thought to chew on, something kind of provocative.
We talk a lot in America, right, about achieving financial independence. It's like the ultimate freedom. But here's the question. If your biggest financial decisions, your career choice, how much you save, where you invest, are still fundamentally controlled by the emotional weight and expectations tied to your family's past, has you really achieved independence?
Ooh, that's a deep one. Something to really consider.
Definitely. And we genuinely want to hear from you. What's a money rule your immigrant parents taught you? Maybe one you still follow religiously. Or maybe one you consciously decided to break to build your own future.
Yeah, share your stories, your experiences, your strategies in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you're navigating this.
We'll be reading and engaging.
And hey, if this conversation resonated with you, if you found it helpful, please hit that like button and definitely subscribe. We've got more deep dives coming on related stuff like transferring wealth between generations and dealing with financial trauma. You won't want to miss it.